We are living through the most extraordinary time in human history. Every major leap in our civilization, the invention of the steam engine, the mastery of electricity, the creation of the microprocessor, was defined by a fundamental shift in how we harnessed energy and information. Today, we are standing at the threshold of the second industrial revolution. This is our iPhone moment for artificial intelligence, but the scale is infinitely larger and the velocity is moving at the speed of light. For 60 years, the world of computing was defined by general-purpose CPUs and the steady, reliable march of Moore's Law. We wrote software line by line to tell computers exactly what to do. But that era is over. We have reached the limits of physics. Transistors can no longer shrink fast enough to keep up with the world's hunger for intelligence. We are moving from a world of retrieval, where we find information that already exists, to a world of generation, where computers produce intelligence in real time. This intelligence is the new commodity. It is the new energy. And for every world leader, every prime minister, and every citizen, the message is clear. Sovereign AI is the new oil. When I tell you that sovereign AI is the new oil, I am not being metaphorical. I am describing the fundamental shift in the wealth of nations. In the previous industrial revolution, nations grew powerful by controlling the extraction and refining of natural resources. In this revolution, the raw material is your nation's data. It is your culture, your language, your history, your legal systems, and your collective knowledge. This data is the most precious resource you possess. If you export this data to a foreign cloud to be processed and refined into intelligence, you are giving away your sovereignty. You are letting someone else build the brain of your country. You must own your own AI factory. You must own your own intelligence production. This is the master plan for the next decade, and it starts with a transition of over $5 trillion in global data center infrastructure. Let's go back to first principles. Why is this happening now? For decades, we lived by the grace of Moore's Law. We expected that every few years, things would just get twice as fast for the same amount of power. But the energy trap of general-purpose computing has finally snapped shut. If we continue to rely on traditional CPUs to power the world's AI, the energy requirements would bankrupt the planet's power grids. Accelerated computing is the only way out. By creating a specialized engine that is 10,000 times faster at parallel processing, we have collapsed the cost and the energy required to produce a single token of intelligence. We have moved the furnace of the Industrial Revolution from the coal mine to the GPU. At NVIDIA, we chose this hard path nearly 30 years ago. We are a company that has been 30 days from bankruptcy for 30 years. I remember the mid-90s, facing the failure of our first architecture, realizing that the world didn't want what we had built. We had to be humble enough to pivot. We had to be resilient enough to face total extinction. That pressure, that pain and suffering is what forged our character. It taught us to seek out the problems that nobody else wants to touch. If a problem is easy, someone else is already doing it. We look for the impossible. We look for the 600-watt problem, the thermal management problem, the light-speed interconnect problem. Why? Because the work of your life should be to build things that did not exist before you arrived. This is why we built the AI factory. A data center is no longer a warehouse for files. It is a factory for intelligence. In the old world, the data center was a cost center. In the new world, the AI factory is a profit center. It is an infrastructure that produces a continuous stream of valuable tokens. These tokens will drive your healthcare, your education, your transportation, and your national security. This is why every nation must have its own sovereign AI infrastructure. You cannot outsource your intelligence. You cannot rely on a foreign entity to understand the nuances of your people or the specific needs of your economy. You need your own data, running on your own systems, producing your own future. The urgency of this moment cannot be overstated. I tell my employees every day, run, don't walk. If you aren't running toward the future, you are being left behind. The gap between the nations that embrace sovereign AI and those that wait will be the largest economic divide in history. This is not a gradual transition. This is a cliff. We are seeing the death of the status quo, the traditional model of the fixed box console, the static software, the slow retrieval. It's all being swept away by the generative era. We are now using AI to design the next generation of AI. We are using our own GPUs to simulate the digital twins of entire factories in the Omniverse before a single brick is laid. This is the ultimate virtuous cycle. I often speak to students about the importance of resilience. I wish them great doses of pain and suffering because that is the only way to build the character required to solve the impossible. To lead a nation into the AI era, you must have that same resilience. You must be willing to be misunderstood for a long time. When we started building CUDA 20 years ago, the world laughed at us. They said it was a niche hobby for gamers. They said we were wasting billions of dollars. But we followed the logic of first principles. We knew that the CPU would eventually hit a wall. We knew that parallel processing was the only way to simulate reality. We were willing to suffer through the skepticism because we saw the roadmap clearly. That roadmap leads to a $5 trillion total addressable market in the data center alone. But the value it creates for society is incalculable. When you have a metal coworker or an agentic AI that can help a scientist find a cure for a rare disease in weeks rather than decades, what is that worth? When you have a sovereign AI that can optimize your nation's energy grid in real time to prevent blackouts and reduce carbon emissions, what is that worth? We are democratizing the most powerful technology in human history. We are putting the power of a national laboratory into the hands of an individual with a 50 series workstation. Our organization at NVIDIA is famously flat. I don't have a private office. I don't want a hierarchy where information takes weeks to reach me. I want to be in the trenches with the engineers. I want to know why a specific signal integrity problem is holding back our next interconnect. In a flat structure, the best idea wins, and the speed of learning is the only competitive advantage. This is the model for the modern state. A nation that wants to lead in AI cannot be a rigid, slow-moving bureaucracy. It must be a learning machine. It must move at the speed of the technology it is trying to harness. When people ask if we went too far with the power density or the complexity of our chips, I tell them we haven't gone far enough. The appetite for intelligence is infinite. The complexity of the world's problems is infinite. We are building the tools to meet that complexity. We are building the Blackwell architecture to be the engine of the sovereign AI factory. We are building the NVLink switch to allow thousands of GPUs to act as one single massive brain. This is not just engineering. It is the construction of a new species of infrastructure. The new oil is not something you find in the ground. It is something you generate with your mind and your data. It is the ultimate form of sustainable energy because it is renewable. The more intelligence you produce, the more efficient your society becomes, which in turn gives you more resources to produce more intelligence. But you must have the engine. You must have the furnace. If you do not build your own AI factory, you are choosing to be a tenant in someone else's future. You are choosing to be a consumer in a world of producers. I see world leaders beginning to wake up to this reality. They see that the iPhone moment has shifted the balance of power. They realize that to protect their citizens, they must provide them with the tools of the new era. They must provide the accelerated compute. They must provide the foundational models. They must protect the national data. This is the roadmap for the next decade. It is a roadmap of resilience, of first principles, and of absolute urgency. We are no longer just writing software. We are training the future. We are moving from a world where we use computers to a world where we work with intelligence. This intelligence will be everywhere. It will be in your pocket, in your car, in your factory, and in your government. It will be the metal coworker that never sleeps and never stops learning. But to make this work, the hardware and the software must be one. This is why NVIDIA is a full-stack company. We don't just build the chip. We build the system, the networking, the algorithms, and the digital twin. We take the complexity so that you can have the capability. The transition is happening now. It is sold out in seconds because the world has realized that this is the most important investment they will ever make. It is the investment in the very ability of a society to think and create. If you are a world leader and you are not thinking about your sovereign AI strategy today, you are already behind. You have to run. You have to move with the desperation of a company that is 30 days from bankruptcy. You have to embrace the friction and the pain of the transition because the reward is a future of abundance. We are at the beginning of the most exciting chapter in the history of technology. The barriers to entry are being smashed. The impossible is becoming the routine. We are building the tools that will allow us to solve the problems that have haunted humanity for centuries. But we must do it with humility. We must remember that we are just the busboys of the future, clearing the table so that the next generation can build something even more extraordinary. We are providing the engines, but you, the leaders, the developers, the creators, you provide the purpose. The logic is irrefutable. The physics are set. The revolution is here. We are replacing the old general purpose world with an accelerated generative world. We are building the AI factories that will power the next century, and we are doing it together. This is the truth of the $5 trillion roadmap. This is the reality of the sovereign AI. This is the message I carry to every capital in the world. That purpose is what transforms a collection of transistors into a national treasure. When I look at the landscape of global politics and economics today, I see a fundamental misunderstanding of what is happening. People talk about computing as if it were a utility, like water or electricity, but it is not a utility. It is an industrial process. If data is the crude oil of the 21st century, then the GPU is the refinery. Raw data by itself is heavy, it is messy, and it is largely useless. You cannot run a country on raw data any more than you can run a car on crude oil. You have to refine it. You have to pass it through the furnace of accelerated computing to extract the intelligence. And the nation that does not have its own refinery will be forced to buy its intelligence from someone else at whatever price they decide to set. This is the definition of a colonial economy. To be a sovereign nation in the modern age, you must possess the means of intelligence production. This is why we have worked so hard to make our technology accessible. When we revealed the 50 series, people saw a gaming breakthrough. I saw the democratization of national sovereignty. We are putting a mini AI factory into the hands of every researcher, every student, and every entrepreneur. If a nation provides its people with the 50 series and the Blackwell infrastructure, it is giving them the power to reinvent their own industries. You can use this power to train a model that understands the specific agricultural needs of your climate. You can use it to design a healthcare system that reflects the genetic diversity of your population. You can use it to optimize a transportation network that respects the unique geography of your cities. This is what sovereign AI looks like. It is not a generic model trained on the internet. It is a specialized intelligence trained on the soul of a nation. At NVIDIA, we operate on first principles because they are the only things that don't change when the world gets chaotic. One of our first principles is that the more you buy, the more you save. It sounds like a sales pitch, but it is a law of thermodynamics. If you spend $1 billion on traditional CPUs to build a national AI, you will spend $10 billion on the electricity to run them, and it will take you 10 years to get an answer. If you spend that same billion on accelerated computing, you will get the answer in months, and your electricity bill will be a fraction of the cost. Performance is the ultimate form of sustainability. The 600-watt problem that people worry about is actually the solution to the megawatt problem of the old world. We are concentrating the power so that we can expand the intelligence. For a world leader, this is the most important economic calculation you will ever make. I often reflect on the flat structure of our company and how it relates to the governance of the future. In a traditional hierarchy, the person at the top is the most isolated. The information is filtered, the failures are hidden, and the speed of decision-making is glacial. We don't have that luxury. We move at the speed of the photons in our NVLink switches. I want to know about the impossible failures immediately. I want to know why our latest liquid cooling manifold is leaking under pressure. Why? Because the failure is where the learning happens. A nation that wants to lead in the AI revolution must adopt this same culture of radical transparency and speed. You must empower your best minds to fail fast and learn faster. You must run, don't walk away from the bureaucracy of the past and toward the agility of the AI factory. The roadmap to $5 trillion in infrastructure is not just a financial projection. It is a physical necessity. We are replacing the entire installed base of the world's computing with something fundamentally different. We are moving from retrieval-based systems to generative systems. In the old world, when a citizen asked a government database for information, the computer retrieved a file. In the new world, the citizen will interact with an agent, a sovereign AI agent, that can reason, explain, and assist in real time. This requires a density of compute that makes current data centers look like ancient libraries. We are building the engines for this transition. We are building the Blackwell architecture to be the backbone of every sovereign cloud. We are building the networking that allows these factories to scale across entire continents. And this leads us to the most exciting frontier, physical AI. This is the moment where the new oil begins to move the world. We are no longer talking about AI just in a screen or a chat box. We are talking about the metal coworker. We are talking about the humanoid robots that will help rebuild our infrastructure and the autonomous systems that will protect our borders. To make this possible, we have to solve the impossible problem of grounding AI in the physical world. This is why we built the Omniverse. We are creating digital twins of entire nations, every road, every bridge, every power plant, so that we can simulate the future before we live it. A world leader can use the Omniverse to test the impact of a new policy, a new city design, or a new emergency response plan in a perfect physical simulation. This is the ultimate tool for governance. It is the ability to see the consequences of your choices before you make them. This journey has been defined by resilience. I've lived through the moments where the world told me I was wrong. I've lived through the 30 days from bankruptcy. I've lived through the pain and suffering of building a company that nobody understood. But that is the secret of the second industrial revolution. It belongs to the resilient. It belongs to those who are willing to face the impossible and refuse to back down. As world leaders, you will face skepticism. You will face the fear of change. You will face people who want to cling to the old, comfortable ways of general-purpose computing. You must have the character to stand your ground. You must follow the logic of the first principles. You must realize that your nation's future depends on your ability to refine your own data into your own intelligence. The 50 series reveal and the Blackwell roadmap are the keys to this future. We have done the hard work of building the stack. We have taken the complexity and the risk. We have built the most advanced processors, the fastest networking, and the most sophisticated simulation software in human history. Now it is up to you to build the AI factories. It is up to you to protect your data. It is up to you to empower your people with the tools of sovereignty. The new oil is flowing. The only question is, will you build the refinery or will you let someone else own your future? The logic is irrefutable. The era of general-purpose computing is over. The era of accelerated, generative, and sovereign intelligence is here. Every nation is now an AI nation. Every company is an AI company, and every individual is an AI creator. This is the truth I promised you. It is a future of abundance, but it is a future that must be earned through urgency and resilience. I see a world where every child has an AI tutor that speaks their language and understands their culture. I see a world where every doctor has an AI assistant that has read every medical paper ever written. I see a world where every worker is amplified by a metal coworker. This is the world we are building at NVIDIA. This is why we run. This is why we stay hungry. This is why we never stop clearing the tables and washing the dishes of the technology world. We are here to serve the future of humanity. I want to thank you for your vision and your leadership. We are partners in this revolution. We provide the engines, but you provide the soul and the purpose. I am incredibly excited to see the sovereign AI factories you will build and the lives you will transform with this technology. We are just getting started. The next decade will be the most transformative in human history, and it will be defined by those who are brave enough to embrace the new oil of intelligence. I want to make sure this conversation continues. If you want to stay at the very front of the sovereign AI movement and understand how we're building the infrastructure of the next century, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It helps us grow this global community of visionaries and doers. Also, I know that many world leaders, developers, and researchers have very specific questions about the 50 series, the Blackwell systems, and the implementation of sovereign clouds. Please leave those questions in the comments below. I, Jensen, will be looking through them and I will respond to your questions quickly. I want to hear your plans for your nation's AI factory. I want to know how we can help you achieve your own sovereignty. The logical conclusion of our roadmap is this: those who own the intelligence will own the future. There is no middle ground. You either build the factory or you become the product. The physics are clear. The opportunity is infinite. The time is now. Run, don't walk. I'll see you in the future.